Episode 59, Kegel Tools and Devices. I feel like if you have ever owned a home or even rented a place, there's always work to do. And every home that my husband and I have ever lived in, there has always been some sort of work that, or remodeling, or improvements that we've wanted to do or needed to do. And I'll tell you one of my frustrations and weaknesses, if you will, when I'm working on any type of home improvement or what I like to say construction project, is that I really do not like being bothered by having to go get one specific tool to do a job that I could probably make a hammer do, that even though it's not really for a hammer, or I could make a butter knife from the kitchen do, rather than having to go get some specific tool. So the one that often comes to mind is that when you go to open up a paint can, I often just use whatever is closest. And the thought to have to go somewhere else, to go out to the shop or where we keep all the paint supplies and look for that tiny little ring thing that has the end, it's a metal end and it flips over, that you're supposed to open the paint can. And my husband says, well, it's easier to do it that way. And I said, yeah, maybe, but I really can't be bothered by it. He says, well, it works. And I said, yeah, it does work, but so does the butter knife. And the butter knife works for so many other things too, or the screwdriver or the hammer. And there's lots of things that could still do this job. And it probably is one of my very silliest traits, is that I cannot be bothered to have to go get the one thing. I just like to make do. And personally, I feel like that trait has solved a lot of problems in my life. It's saved me a lot of time. And in fact, it's also helped me in my job as a pelvic floor physical therapist. And what I mean by that, it has everything to do, just like the title of this episode is Kegel Tools and Devices, is that all the same reasons that I can't be bothered to go get the actual tool, I'm using air quotes if you're listening to the podcast, because well, let me back up a little bit. I do get asked this question a lot. Well, can I just get this device or the shorts or this device that I can insert and it should just make my pelvic floor stronger, right? That's what everybody says it does. And I want to present to you a couple of different reasons why those tools and devices may not be the best thing. So the first and foremost, and let me first back up a little bit. When we talk about our pelvic floor, the first thing I want you to know is that there's 3 layers. And I often talk about it that it's a doorway that leads to a hallway that leads to a living room. And that hallway, that is our second layer of muscles. And the great thing about the hallway is that if the muscles are strong, like they should be, and they're healthy, is that it makes a really beautiful shape of a hallway. And I say beautiful, I'm talking like symmetrical, circular. That is the shape that we're after. Now that you know this part, if you were to take a device and insert it to hope to get a stronger pelvic floor, well, that machine or device or tool, it would have to make contact with a large section of your muscles in order to supposedly do what it's going to do, is to get you stronger. And I won't necessarily go down that road quite yet. But let's say, like many women do, we have weak pelvic floors for a variety of different reasons. And from my experience, our hallways are not shaped the same way. Meaning, if I have really weak pelvic floor muscles, I'm not going to have that beautiful circular shaped hallway that I mentioned before. It may not even be that much of a hallway. It almost might be like it's demoed out and it's a really wide hallway. It's not the narrow circular hallway that should be there. So my question then is this device that you have now inserted going to be making contact to make those muscles stronger, right? Because that's part of it, is it has to make contact with those muscles. No, it's probably not going to work, right? Now, even though this could be deemed as the right tool, this is one of the cases where it oh man, I'm just trying to think about how to say this politely. That's assuming that there's the perfect scenario, but that even goes back, if your pelvic floor is doing what it should, then why do you even need this device? Now it's a whole production. Now it's a whole, shenanigans, and now it's really not working. There's one of the reasons why I don't really care for those Kegel's tools and devices. Now, the second reason that I want to bring up here is that in itself is the production. So very similarly to me not wanting to go search for that tool or to go get that device to open the paint can, when I could use so many other different tools to still give me the same outcome. That is how I feel about Kegels. I don't think they work great, but then we start talking about these tools and devices. Well, me running up and down the stairs could be a way for me to strengthen my pelvic floor. So I could just stand in place and I could get my pelvic floor stronger rather than having to go look for that particular device and then hopefully have time to myself where my kids aren't going to come in and interrupt me. And then I would have to clean this device. And I'm not even talking about the time that you're supposed to do to use that said device. And then I don't know about you, but when I showered this morning, I was interrupted 5 different times. And all I did was quickly wash my hair. I probably didn't even do that good of a job. 5 times in just a shower to wash my hair, let alone, let's say I was trying to use one of those devices. Not only is it a production, not only is it time, right? And as a mother, that's precious time to myself. I don't really want to be going to look for this silly device, washing it, having time on my own, and then doing the thing. When really, I could stand in place and do a series of exercises using the No Kegels University method. And I could be doing it while I was cooking dinner, or while my kids were coloring, or while I was standing there and having a conversation with my husband. I could be doing all of these things and simultaneously still be strengthening my pelvic floor, which was my original goal. So, with that second reason, it really is such a big production and time. And then you have to look at, well, is this something that you could commit to every day using this tool or device to get your pelvic floor stronger? I would say no. Because are you really great about exercising every day? I'm not that great at exercising every day. But if you look at the outcomes of some of these devices, you're supposed to use them every day in order to see results. And I just don't think that I just don't think that's an option for most of us. And while I'm not trying to put you down or say that I don't believe in you, as a woman and as a mother and as a wife, we have a lot on our plate. And having that time in production spent looking for the thing and cleaning up the thing and then actually doing the thing of this device to get my pelvic floor stronger, I am going to sign up for something or agree to something that I can do very easily without needing any tools or anything of that nature. And then the third reason that I don't really care for these tools and devices is, well, there's lots more reasons, but the one that comes to mind is, if we really thought that a device could get us stronger, then my question is, why are the Olympians not using this device or other devices to get their biceps stronger, to get their glutes stronger, to get their shoulder muscle stronger? Why is that not a thing for them? And even still, whether you consider yourself an Olympian or not, depending on how you train or exercise, when you're exercising, let me ask you this: do you purchase those devices on TV or those commercials where, oh, you just have to, strap this device to you in order to get stronger? No, we all know that that is not going to be the thing that gets us stronger. Because if it was, then the celebrities would probably be doing that. There wouldn't be pictures of the celebrities in their sweaty workout clothes coming out of their boxing classes or their Pilates classes or yoga. They're putting in the work. We all know this. We all know that we have to put in the work in order for our muscles to become stronger. And the same is true with these devices or tools that are supposedly supposed to help us have a stronger muscle. So then I realize that I might be leaving you hanging here, and I'm really not trying to. That's where the No Kegels University method comes into play, where doing the 4 phases of this method is going to be what gets you a stronger pelvic floor. And the beautiful thing about it is that it can be done in as little as 8 to 10 minutes a day and still have really great results. If you want to do more, you can, of course, do more. But the premise behind it is really taking how the body works naturally and physiologically. And just like I suggested with the last reason why I don't really care for these Kegel tools and devices is because we know we have to put the work in. We know that we actually have to do the thing to get our muscles quite a bit stronger. And so there really is no shortcuts. And when you take a look at the No Kegels University method, we're utilizing how the body works naturally and physiologically. So phase 1 is that we get your tissues moving and moving well so that they'll actually respond to the strengthening. Phase 2 is making sure that your pressure system is intact. This is part of our abdomen and our pelvic floor and our lungs and our diaphragm and our back and our rib cage. And there's so many pieces to it. But once that's working, that allows that pelvic floor to be in another better position to respond to that strengthening. And then, of course, phase 3 is finally strengthening using the VAB3 principles. And those are vertical, weight above the pelvis, below the pelvis, meaning that the hip is working, and then 3 for all 3 planes, meaning that we're exercising the body in all 3 planes of motion. Because the pelvic floor is the only group of muscles in the body that has fibers that run in all 3 planes. And so the incredible thing here is that we are using how the body works. We're not taking any shortcuts, and we're putting the work in so that we are able to have that stronger pelvic floor, so that we can stop leaking, we can enjoy intimacy, we can feel that we're no longer in this postpartum period, no matter how long it's been, and that we can do so by putting in the work. But the really great thing about it, well, there's so many great things, but one of the reasons that comes to mind, especially as we're talking about not taking shortcuts, is that using this method, you are also increasing your endurance and you're using resistance training, which is really great for our bones and our hormones, especially as women. And by training in all 3 planes, you're also saying, okay, well, I understand that my female pelvis is very different than the male pelvis, and it needs different angles and different types of logistics for my pelvis and my hip muscles and pelvic floor to have the same benefits that a male pelvis has with many of the workouts that are already out there. And if that's confusing to you, I'm not trying to make that part confusing, but I think it's just one of those pieces to the puzzle that is often missed in the female body. And I really want this to be a message of hope and inspiration, not to say if you are using those devices or you just bought one or you're considering buying one that I think that you're lazy because you're not, putting the work in. The marketing on those devices are really, really good. They really are. But I also think that they market it so heavy because I personally think that they're taking out the consideration that you are a smart and intelligent woman, and you know that there's no shortcuts. You know that. But their marketing is so good because they kind of have to overcome that. And we all know that in order to strengthen our muscles, we have to put in the work. And I would love to teach you how, and I would love to teach you what that work is. So I invite you to grab the 3 reasons that Kegels don't work and what will guide, or please join, or both, please do both, join the No Kegels University sorority, where I go live every week giving you trainings on the pelvic floor and other women's health topics. I do free pelvic floor exercises in there and challenges and Q&As. in so many things where you can come and learn more about that method and get started the day you join. And with that, remember, you're an heiress and a queen and everything in between. See you in the next one.